nasabu. So this is going to be the third part talking about the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that has different dimensions, and it is one of the important hadiths mentioned in the 40 hadiths of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. It took us long to comment this because each section of this hadith talks about something so important that we cannot just let it slide like that. So the last part tonight that we're going to talk about, Prophet ﷺ mentions, and never do a people assemble in a house of the houses of God, reciting God's book and teaching it to each other without tranquility descending on them, mercy enveloping them, and the angels surrounding them. Again, I repeat this. And never do a people assemble in a house of the houses of Allah. Assemble in a house of the houses of Allah. Fi bayt min buyutillah. This is a gathering, right? And this is one of the houses of God. Not in a literal sense, because God doesn't have a place where He lives, but in a figurative sense. Al-Masjid Baytullah. The mosque is considered to be the house of God. So the hadith tells us that whenever people gather in one of the houses of God, referring to the masajids, what happens to them? Well, before what happens to them, what do they do? I mean, what is one of the things that they do in order to receive the blessings of God? They recite the book of God and teach it to each other. They learn the Quran and they teach that Quran to the other people. That's why learning the Quran, teaching it to the others, it has so much virtues. In a hadith that is narrated from Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Nabi alayhi salatu salam said, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best one of you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches that to the other people. And by the way, this by itself has a sanad, very special sanad in the hadith. This hadith, this singular hadith right here. So, learning the Quran and teaching it to the others makes you the best of the people. And of course, those who are gathered in a house of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing that, what happens to them now? Prophet ﷺ goes by saying that tranquility descends on them. Tranquility, peace, as-sakina, descends upon them. In other words, their hearts become very peaceful. Out there is no guarantee about finding peace. In here, reciting the book of God, like what do we do in the prayer, for example? We also recite the book of God, right? That can be a part of it. Like we're gathered here today and we're reciting the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the prayer time. We expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals His peace upon our hearts. And everybody, when you ask people about coming into the mosque, joining for prayer, when they leave, what do they say? Oh man, we feel in tranquility. We feel we had tranquility. We have peace. We went to the mosque, we received peace in our hearts. Wallahi, during this time, coronavirus, I had so many people who said, I could not be able to make it. I had doctors. Remember at the beginning we said, guys, I'm sorry, you cannot come because you are dealing with patients or maybe with nurses or people who may have been exposed to other people who had the coronavirus, so it was not the right time for them, or nurses, medical people who did who were involved with medical field. We said no to them. And I had people from them very, feeling like very eager to come back to the mosque and saying, we miss it. Can you please push it? Can you please ask? Can we do something? And then I had meetings with the board and all of that. We decided to have medical people back in the mosque. But I had not one person, I had many people who came to me for this reason. I have other ladies who had little children saying to me that we feel like left out when we don't have the ability to come to the mosque. Not because they're ladies, but because they have children. And for little children, we said no in the mosque. And wallahi, I have seen females come in here when they had an opportunity to come, and they cried. Those mothers who couldn't make it in regular basis, when they had the ability to come here in the mosque, they were crying. And I personally asked why. Well, it's great to be back at the mosque and to be able to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is proven in this hadith, that Allah puts down that sakina, that tranquility in the people's hearts. That's number one. Number two, mercy enveloping them. Mercy is what? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being kind to you. Not only that you are receiving this peace in your heart, but also kindness of God around you. What else? The list goes on. And angels surrounding them. Ya salam. Angels surrounding them. So you have the three important elements. The peace of God in the heart of the human. Mercy enwrapping you. An angel surrounding you. What else you want? This you can only get it in the mosque when you are in the masjid. This is amazing. What do angels, when you hear a statement like surrounding you, what does that stand for? What do you get out of it? What do you think? Number one, which is very important, protection. You're being protected. Number two, what else? You gain hasanat because of what? You're sitting right, but we're talking about the angels. The role of the angels. The brother mentioned protection for sure. Giving salam to you and praying for you. Right? We know according to other hadiths that angels often pray for the righteous people. So angels are praying for you. And what else you want? You have the mercy of God, you have the protection of God, you have angels praying for you. Look at the blessings, countless blessings. But the list doesn't end there. The list goes on by saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembers them among those who are with Him. And with Him there are martyrs. With Him are the messengers, prophets. With Him are the malaika al-muqarrabin, very close angels who have a different status from the other regular angels. And when they pray for you, it's a different prayer than the prayer of normal angels. If Allah is mentioning you in front of them, it's another honor for you. It's another level of honor for you. Just angels, but it is God who is honoring you by mentioning you in a company like that. So you have honor, you have protection, you have mercy, you have peace in your heart. What else you want? That's what you get in the mosque. And unfortunately, there are some people who come to the mosque, but they come to the mosque for different reasons. And you know what, I'm just going to the mosque to talk to somebody. I have an appointment with somebody. It's still good that the appointment is in the mosque. But the reward that that person will receive when he comes or she comes to the mosque for a different purpose, other than performing prayers, connecting to God, becoming more righteous, is different from the person who comes for these other higher purposes. So the reward, the protection, the peace, the mentioning, the honor that we're talking about here is going to be way different. And the hadith ends by saying, وَمَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. And the translator, he translated as, if anyone slacks in doing his or her deeds, then his lineage or her lineage will not advance that person. If you as an individual are not responsible to perform your own deeds and analyze your deeds, whether you're doing good or bad, and try to perform better and better, you're not going to get help because of your brother being righteous. You're not going to get help on the day of judgment because of your father being righteous. You're not going to get help on the day of judgment because your uncle is a mufti or your uncle is a sheikh al-Masābīh. Nope. I say this because I have seen a lot of people, they feel so proud for their ancestors being ulama, being scholars, and having some, very high positions in Wizarat al-Awqaf, these Ministry of Religious Affairs and things like that. None of that matters. If you slack, he says, if anyone slacks in doing his own deeds, then the lineage will not be able to advance you. We were just reciting earlier in the prayer, تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. That's a nation that already passed. They have whatever they have, because Arabs used to feel so proud. You know who I am? You know who my father is? You know who my grandfather is? Sit down. Sit down. Because تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. They have whatever they have earned. I mean, they're going to be either rewarded or punished for whatever they have done. And you have your own deeds. You have your own actions. وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. And you will not be questioned for what they used to do. Whether they did good or bad, you're not going to be questioned. You have your own things that you will be questioned about. Your own business. Don't focus on the business of other people who are before you. Alright, so this is repeated in different places, even in the Quran and hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. We ended here. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق ونسأل أن يجعلنا من عباده الصالحين وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله